Everybody, seeing that we are in the month of awareness of Alzheimer's, I think it is important that we focus our attention on the significance of getting a proper diagnosis. Now, while there are a number of screening tools available, more and more research is showing that those screening tools are, well, exactly that. They are a screening. They are definitely not the basis for a proper diagnosis. When we are looking at dementia, we always say that dementia is a diagnosis by exclusion. It is very important to remember that there are a number of things that would present with exactly the same symptoms as what one would think are the symptoms of dementia. Now, talking about the symptoms of dementia, those per se are very complicated as well, as you know that when you have met one person living with dementia, you have met just one person living with dementia. We are complex human beings. We are not just a biological machine or a pathological brain. In fact, we are eco, bio, psycho, socio, spiritual beings, which means that we are part of this complex ecosystem in which we grow up, in which we are formed. We are influenced by where we live. For example, being a person living in the Philippines, being a person living in Rwanda, being a person living in Alaska, certainly influences the way that we are in the world. We are all biologically different. We all have different personalities. We all are functioning in different social structures. And then, of course, we are all differently connected in terms of our spiritual beliefs. Those all have an impact on our being in the world. We come to this life with a host of different attributes, and these play a role in the way that we are in the world, and certainly when there is cognitive impairment, how we will go about living with memory loss or cognitive impairment. It is therefore incredibly important to consider a number of things before we just go for the diagnosis of dementia. Some of the important things that we have to exclude is, for instance, something as simple, well, it not really is not simple, but something like a urinary tract infection, which for many people would cause symptoms of confusion, which inevitably could be confused for the so-called symptoms of dementia. Not every person living with dementia is confused. Certainly something like dehydration or polypharmacy, taking a host of different medications and the side effects of those medications will have an impact on our cognitive functioning. Severe trauma, even a long-term, or not even, especially a long-term depression, could present with symptoms that might make one think that someone is perhaps living with Alzheimer's or dementia. So, how do we go about finding out if a person is in fact living with dementia? Well, it is a complex diagnosis that needs really specialist specialist investigation before one even considers treatment. And a screening tool like the mini mental state examination or the MOCA simply will not do it. While it could be a very good point of departure, it could also be very problematic in that if that leads to an unfounded diagnosis, that label could stick and could cause a lot of damage. I therefore think it is really, really important that we consider what a proper diagnosis is and not simply rush off, do a simple screening, and then jump to conclusions. It could cause lasting and very traumatizing damage.